My name is Kimberly Neesmith.
And I'm Rowan Coogan.
And we're from the Dr. McCleary Wildlife Techniques class taken at the University of Florida. Today, we will be talking about Eurasian teal, otherwise known as Anas creca. This is small dabbling duck species, can be found throughout Europe, Asia, and Africa in wetlands such as this one. They can also be found in coastal brackish waters, and notably, they nest alongside said water.
The current most common method used to mark Eurasian teal for rapid population assessment is nasal saddles. However, a 2026 paper by Guillemot et al. Shows increased risk of mortality among Eurasian teal marked with nasal saddles. So, today we're going to be exploring a few alternatives. Come on! Let's go! Let's go!
The alternative methods proposed will be judged based on 3 criteria: visibility, mortality risk, and invasiveness. Visibility assesses both whether the mark is visible from a distance and whether it's visible while the duck is swimming, because teals spend most of their time in the water. Mortality risk assesses whether each method increases the marked animal's risk of death, and invasiveness assesses both whether the method requires handling and if the marks require puncture or alteration of the flesh.
Nasal saddles are made of a flexible PVC, nylon, or plastic material that is attached using a metal rod placed to the waterfowl's nares. Each saddle is marked with unique identifying numbers and letters, and they are minimally invasive, visible from a distance above water, but also increased risk of mortality, the reason behind this for which we are uncertain of.
Our first contender is patagial tags. These are plastic tags with a unique numerical identifier that are punctured through the patagium or wing membrane. This mark is clearly visible from a distance while the teal is in water. However, there is significant risk of mortality. A 1986 article by Simchak and Ringelmann describes a 15-fold increase in mortality among mallards marked with patagial tags. This method is also highly invasive. It requires capturing and handling the teal, puncturing their wing, and potentially suturing.
Next, we will talk about leg bands. The method of using leg bands consists of fastening a plastic or aluminum band around one or both legs. Each band has identifying features which may include varying colors and numbers. Regarding invasiveness, usage of leg bands requires handling but does not alter the animal's flesh. There's also minimal risk of mortality, and while leg bands are visible, they are unable to be seen when an individual is in water, making them less efficient.
And now for our winner, dye. Dye can be applied many ways, including in hand, from a short distance using a squirt gun, or by transfer from painted eggs to the chest during brooding. The application method that we suggest is a remote-controlled dye application device created and used by Baird et al. In their 2017 article.
Here are the steps. Researchers must first begin by determining the teal's preferred incubation position ahead of time and waiting for the individual to leave their nest. They then must remove all teal eggs and replace them with fakes. When the teal returns and sits facing the nozzle, the researcher will then activate the transmitter. The transmitter then shoots a signal to the radio-activated remote distribution unit, which is filled with dye and is attached to tubes that are buried in the ground and pointed at the nest. The squirt gun, hidden by a bowl that blends in with the ground, will then shoot dye out of the nozzle and make a 3 to 4 centimeter patch onto the breast of the teal.
This method was proposed for the California least tern, a ground-nesting shorebird, but it remains applicable for the teal because the two species are both aquatic, they're similar in size, they nest near water, and both birds have a pale breast, which is where the dye is applied. Based on Baird's assessment of water resistance of several conventional and experimental dyes, we propose the use of azoeosin dye in 10% citric or acetic acid. The bright red color will be highly visible against their plumage, and as an acid-based dye, it incorporates into the feather in a way that conventional dyes don't, meaning it should last until the next molt.
Pursuing the method of dye marking through the usage of Baird's design meets all 3 criteria: highly visible from at least 30 meters due to the coloration, completely non-invasive as it applies the dye remotely, and no detrimental effects were seen in the survival and reproduction of the individuals marked or the survival of their offspring. Therefore, remotely applied acid-based dye is an ideal method for marking Eurasian teals for rapid population assessments.
Thank you so much for watching. Please leave any comments or questions down below. We would really appreciate it. Bye! Sorry, you're good.